So hello everyone, welcome back and welcome to class number 20. 20 recorded classes, man. That's huge, right? For people who are watching this, congratulations. And for people who are watching this, congratulate me too, because I've been sitting here and recording for you 20 classes, right? And in this class, we're going to give you a proper demonstration of color grading. How do I color grade my videos, right?
My name is Tharun. Video editing has changed my life, and it can change yours too. You know, Tharun speaks quality, quantity.
So I'll have to tell you that my color grading process is very simple, right? And it gives me amazing results, right? Most of the times whenever I want to color grade, these things actually work wonders, right? I don't overcomplicate it because my audience are mostly like people who are like students and who watch it on their phone. So, it's not just about how good can you make the video, but how consistently can you make the video, which means the video that you're outputting or the video that you're publishing, it should take you least amount of time in order to edit the videos, right? So I guess here we go. Let's open the Premiere Pro interface. See, this is the footage that I want to color grade, right? So here Tharun is just talking to you. I'll just show you how I color grade. I don't actually color grade on the main footage itself, but instead of that, what I do is I get in an adjustment layer, right? What do I get in? Adjustment layer. And whatever effects that you apply on the adjustment layer, they also get applied to the footages which are just below it, right? That is what adjustment layers are for, right? There are different reasons why we use. Just Google it, you'll get to understand. But yeah, I'll click on this small new item wala thing, right? Click on it, left click, and then you'll be able to see all these options. Here, I'll select the adjustment layer wala option, right? So I'll click on it, it'll give me some of these things. I'll click on OK, and I'll have the adjustment wala layer over here. Now I'll click on this, I'll drag it into my footage, right? I've dragged it here and I'll expand it until my footage is there, right? At this point of time, what I'll try to do is I'll try to adjust colors on the adjustment layer, and that will actually give me an output on the real footage that we have, right? So I'll click on the adjustment layer, then I'll go to this panel, right? Workspaces wala thing. I'll click on it and I'll go to color, right? And here you'll be able to see different panels and all. So this is called the Lumetri color wala panel, right? So first things first, you have basic corrections, right? Here you'll be able to see, basically some things which are color wala thing and light wala thing. See, any color grade, either you have the color and then you have the light, right? How intense is the color, right? So first let me go to color, right? Here you have temperature. If I increase this, it will become more red. If I decrease this, it will become more bluish color, right? So you can just double click on this thing and it'll get back to you the normal color, right? And again, tint more towards this, pinkish wala tint or greenish wala tint, right? I don't want any of this. I'm not going to change any of this. And then you have saturation, right? How saturated do you want the entire footage to be? Like this, or do you want the saturation to be black and white wala thing, right? I'm not going to touch either of this. So what I'll try to do is I want this footage to be thoda sa like on the orangish side, right? So what I'll try to do is I'll just get it over here, right? Also, one very good way to adjust the colors, get it back to normal, is there's something called this white balance, right? You can just select the dropper and come back to your footage, and in your footage, wherever you see white color ka thing, right? For example, I, for a matter of fact, know that this thing right here, it's actually white in color, right? So what I'll do, I'll pick the dropper and I'll left click on this thing, right? And it will give me, actual white colors, right? But I'm not going to touch any of those things. Let me do Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, right? And this is the normal footage that I have, right? So the first thing that I do, I want this entire thing to be thoda sa orangish color, right? So what I'll try to do is I'll try to increase the temperature of the footage, right? So before and after. Before was this, after was this. It's more orangish in color, right? And next thing that I do is I'll go to light, right? This is all in basic correction. I'll go to light and I'll play with the exposure a bit. I want the video to be thoda bahut exposed, maybe like 0.3, right? Contrast, okay, let me thoda sa increase it. Highlights, I'll increase it, right? Shadows, maybe I'll decrease it. So basically what happens is that if you increase shadows, what if the darker spots are there inside your video, that increases, right? You see it's becoming more white, it's more dull, right? You decrease it, you'll get more darker wala thing. You increase it, it'll get more whiter wala things, right? So you kind of increase this, right? Again, whites concentrate on the thing which are, you know, kind of white or like bright inside your screen. So increase the whites, all the white color spots, they actually increase, right, in brightness. And you decrease it, it decreases. So I won't play much around with whites. Maybe I'll do this, thoda sa increase. And blacks, I'm not, you know, gonna bother about this much. Maybe I'll put it to -5 or something like that. -0.5 or like very slight change, right? So basically initially you had this thing and right now you had this thing. It's more bright, right? I just played with the initial colors. It's kind of like some exposure, some contrast, added, you know, some warmer colors over here and there. So that's how it is, right? And now what I'm going to do is the main thing which I actually do in my videos, right? The first one that I do is I go to curves, right? This is where all my magic for the color starts, right? So here in the, you know, curves, you have majorly two things. RGB curves. People actually play around, you know, they make S-wala shapes and all of those things here. I don't do it, right? My method is a bit more simple, a bit more complex, whatever you call it, but this actually works a lot better, right? What I'll try to do is I'll directly go to hue saturation curves, right? Inside curves, you'll be able to see this hue saturation curves. Over here, you'll be able to see hue versus saturation. In the previous class, I just mentioned that hue is nothing but color, right? Hue versus saturation means what is the saturation of individual colors that you have. Got it? And similarly, hue versus hue, which is color versus color. What is the initial color that you have? What is the final color that you want? You can change the color to different colors, right? And then you have hue versus luma, which is hue is a single color versus luma. Luma is like, you know, maybe brightest, you can just call it, right? So basically, what is the brightness of individual color is hue versus luma. And then you have luma versus saturation, right? Basically, what are the bright spots in the video and how saturated are they, right? And then you have saturation versus saturation. So we'll not touch these things much, but we'll be playing with the first three things, which is hue versus saturation, hue versus hue, and hue versus luma. So what I try to do is I'll first go to my face colors, right? What I'll try to do is I want my face not so red. So what I'll do is I'll go to this dropper, which you can see on hue versus saturation, left click on it, right? Come back to your footage, select this thing, right? Just again, left click on your footage, right? You'll be able to see which color is your head, face ka strength. So I want it thoda sa less saturated, my face to be less saturated, right? I made it a bit less. And usually I'll also prefer yellows to be least in my video. So you select it. So basically what you do is you click on this thing, left click, and you drag it down, right? So in this case, whatever the yellows that you have inside your footage, they become zero. Uska saturation becomes zero, right? Again, coming back, you want blues, right? Because this side we have red, this side we have blue inside the footage. So what you do is you increase blues because you want the entire footage to be blue versus well as this thing, right? So I'm increasing blues. So if you can see, yeah, I'm just removing the curves for you, right? This is how it was previously. This is how it is right now. Like not a major change, but now you'll be able to see the change more, right? So red ko thoda sa upar kar do, right? And this pinkish ka bhi upar kar do, right? So I'm just playing around with different colors ka saturations here, right? You don't need to have the same colors. You can select any two colors or three colors, or you can even go monochromatic, right? It entirely depends on the first class mein, the thing which we discussed, right? You can do monochromatic, or you can use the square wala thing, or you can use complementary wala thing. I'm using complementary wala thing here, mostly complementary. Usually red goes with blue or like green or whatever it is, but I've selected that red is there here and blue is there here. So I'll keep these two colors as like the main colors in my footage, and rest of the colors I'll try to saturate it down, right? So red is maxed out, blue is maxed out, but yellow and all these things have been minimized, right? So you don't even want this, so you can decrease this, you can increase this, right? So you don't need to copy the same thing, just play around with these curves and understand what is the final output that you are getting and edit accordingly, right? So the first thing is done. Then the second thing that I do is I go to hue versus hue, right? Here I'll select again the dropper. Maybe I'll go to my face wala thing. I want it reddish. Like for example, if I select on red, hue versus hue is nothing but color versus color. you can change one color, you can interchange one color to the next color, right? I've selected red. If I make it blue, the entire footage also turns blue. If I make it yellow, the entire footage also turns yellow, right? But you see, the only change is happening in the red color thing, which is there in the footage, right? For example, you select red over here, right? You increase, okay. So maybe ting, you selected 2, right? Beach mein se you pulled up the red. So now you can change red color ka color. You can have disco wala effect, ting, ding, 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 ding wala effect, right? So yeah, anyways. So what I'll try to do is, hue versus hue, I don't have anything to change here. Next I'll go to hue versus luma, which is color and the intensity of the color. Again I'll go to my face, right? I'll slowly make my face a bit brighter. Now you see, a thoda sa brighter. Maybe a thoda sa brighter here. Usually face ka colors are in orange and red wala region. So you can see thoda sa brighter ho gaya, right? Thoda sa bright kar diya, thoda sa, like very less light, right? So I've played with hue versus lumo also. Maybe I'll go back to the first thing. I'll change, yeah, this thing looks better. So what I did is I selected my face ka color and I'm slowly desaturating it, right? Yeah, and then you have this, yeah. So here, if you look at the changes, right, this is how it looks after a partial grading, and this was how it was looking previously, right? Previous, now. Previous was dull and all. Now it's more bright. Your face is also more brighter, right? What else can you do is you can actually increase this portion also, right? How can you make it a bit more better? Basic correction. Maybe I'll go to color again. I'll thoda sa decrease the temperature, not much. Maybe I'll put it down to like 12 or something, right? And then I'll go back to my curves. Curves mein this portion that you see, this is like the most important portion, which is between orange and red, because our face also usually lies between these colors. So the smaller, like the most smallest changes that you make here are going to impact a lot, right? Imagine I'm putting it here. You see the entire face has turned a bluish tint, right? You increase it a bit, it's increasing. So maybe I'll have to find like a good balance between these two things. So I guess this looks good only. Yeah, this looks good. So the next thing that I do usually after this is I'll just minimize this thing also, right? And then directly go to vignette, whatever you call it. So I'll just increase the amount, decrease the amount, ताकि we can get this, vignette wala feeling. Like rest of the things will be thoda sa darkened, and most of the focus will be onto my face. Here also there are two more things that you have to do. If you increase the midpoint, right, the circle, whatever you have, vignette ka thing, that increases. But if you decrease the midpoint, it will be more like this, right? So I'll put it somewhere over here, right? And also roundness, I'll increase it. Feather, right? Like what is like the feather that you have? Like basically, what is like the gradient of this that you have? So I'll increase this also, right? So maybe amount ko thoda sa zyada. Midpoint over here, yes. Roundness, I'll maximize it. Feather, I'll get it down here, right? And then yeah, going back. So this is how it is looking right now, and this is how it was earlier, right? Earlier there was not a lot of focus on my face. Right now the highest focus is onto my face, and I've basically chosen the entire footage to be thoda sa orangish in color. You can also decrease it a bit, right? And then go to colors or maybe hue saturation curves, and then you can actually decrease the entire face ka this thing. That can also be done. It's most of a preference, I would say. I'll get it here, and then even here. It's just about adjusting these things a bit here and there. Yeah. Maybe I'll have 2 points over here. Thoda sa increase kar deta hu. I'll also increase this point. So now if you see, this is our final graded wala thing, right? Not exactly a proper grading, but this actually works really good because most of the focus is onto your face. Your face is also bright, right? So people can actually focus on your face ka essentials, right? So imagine you take this off. This is how it was looking earlier, and this is how it is looking right now. It's kind of, higher over here, so rest of the things go to light, decrease your whites a bit, decrease, this is fine. Exposure ko, you can just keep it this much only, yeah. So before, after, right? So basically I want people to focus onto my face. So this is the usual colors that I do. There are some other things also that I usually follow sometimes. For example, I hate green color in my videos, right? So I don't usually, I negate the green. Like I never like green. So what I do is, the same footage if you want, if there's something green over there, select it, add an adjustment layer, then go to your color, curves, and then hue saturation curves, select green color over here and just pull it back to 0, and all the greens will be desaturated, right? So this is a very simple tutorial on how I color grade my footages. See, color grading is mostly, I would say, it depends on the people. It depends on your personal preference and all of those things. So one best way is like have, a different kind of, images in your head or maybe in your phone. If whenever you're watching a good movie or something, just take a screenshot of it, store it, and then try to match colors, accordingly, right? And these things will actually help you do the same, right? So some people do the entire color grading using the RGB curves. They make it like as well as shape over here, right? Just to make the entire things pop out a bit, right? And then they go to red. Either be they change, the colors. You can also do this. I don't like doing this because I don't know. Again, as I told, it's just a personal preference on how you decide to color grade your footages. So yeah, both the methods are not wrong. Any of the methods can be used. I've been using the same method to color grade my footages, freelancers footages, any other footages that we have been using till now, right? So with that being said, experiment a lot with color grading, right? You can do so much with, a simple normal room ka footage will look so good if you can color grade it up, kind of better, right? So use the two things which I've told. Basically the three things that I've told. The first thing is the different type of color combinations that you can use. Monochromatic, split complementary, all of those things, right? And then watch movies and collect screenshots of different scenes, right? And then try to, replicate the same colors according to the mood of your scene, right? So if you can do these things good, you can become a pro at color grading, right? So with that being said, that is it. 20 classes. Let's go. Bye-bye.